Hey there YouTube, this is going to be a quick video updating you on my wooden honey extractor. What I'm going to be doing first is fixing it because the bottom really needs a bearing, which I have right here. So I have a Forstner bit the size of this ball bearing, and I believe it's 3/8 inside, and then I have a 3/8 rod that the basket spins on. So I'm going to be putting this in the bottom of my extractor, and I'm going to be showing you me doing that. If you haven't seen my video on building a wooden honey extractor motorized with a, what do you call it, running treadmill, go check it out. So I have it flipped over on its side, or on its top. You see, this is the hole that the 3/8 rod that the basket spins on goes through, and it comes through at an angle because this side is higher than this side. And so what I'm going to be doing with the Forstner bit is just trying to make sure that it's straight up and down, perpendicular with the floor that this is resting on. And I'm going to try to be using this little piece of wood in the center here, just so I have somewhere for the Forstner bit. The Forstner bit has a tip that centers, and if I didn't plug it up, that little point, let's see if I can get this in focus, the little point on the Forstner bit wouldn't have anywhere to stick into. All right. I just need to go deep enough for the thickness of my ball bearing here. And I think it's pretty well centered. That little piece of 3/8 dowel did the trick, sticking it in the middle. It was a little larger than 3/8, but I had just bought it from the store. You can see it's a good fit, and it's sticking out a little bit on this side, so it should be in line with the shaft that goes through it. So I got the pulley back on, and so there's a bolt holding the ball bearing in up there, and then the bolt below that is holding on, just with compression, this pulley wheel, which is the kind with lines in it. I forget what it's called. And that's just compression. You can put a T-nut in there, which will dig into the wood that I have inside of that pulley, but I found that compression works, and I didn't have to spend the $2 on a T-nut. On the inside, there is no, it's just two washers stacked on top of each other, and then the basket itself is bolted onto the 3/8 threaded rod with T-nuts. Again, you can check out my video on building the wooden honey extractor, and it'll show in more detail how this thing is made. I've already washed out the inside and outside with soapy water, and I'm getting ready to extract. Alright, so I'm ready to extract, and a few of the essentials that you're going to need no matter pretty much whatever way, any way you're going to be extracting, whether it's cut and crush, or using a hand spin extractor or a motorized extractor like this one. Some basics are a bucket with a gate on it, and that's going to be for when you're filling your jars or just transferring it to whatever container you're storing your honey in. I store mine in glass growlers and bottle them in just unmarked mason jars. Into the container that flows out of your extractor, I have this is a paint strainer. This is normally designed to go over a 5-gallon bucket and strain clumps of paint out of house paint that you paint your house with. But it works great as a honey strainer, and it's just nylon, food safe, and as well as the buckets are food grade plastic. And important to make sure that your gate is closed when you start extracting. This is my uncapping bucket, just clean, dry, washed. Make sure everything you're using is clean and safe to eat off of. This is a hot bowl of water, and that just makes cleanup of your hands, which are bound to get sticky, that much easier. Whatever knife you're using, you can clean it off so it's easier to work with. Definitely get yourself a bowl of hot water. It makes the process so much more enjoyable. You can use a serrated knife, or an electric knife works well too. It's also serrated, and they're both about the same. But today I'm going to be using the electric knife. I have a power source right here. And another neat thing to note is that I have had this, my honey boxes stacked on top of a space heater for 24 hours, just getting them up. They're probably like 85 degrees. And that just makes the extraction process go a little bit quicker. And yeah, let's get started. This is a 4-frame extractor. It can hold either 2 deeps or 4 mediums, or 2 deeps and 2 mediums. Hive tool is basically a 3-in-1 or 6-in-1 spatula, or spackle knife, or whatever you call these things. These have been sitting for 24 hours. And there are no eggs in this frame or larvae, but there is a little bit of hatching drone. And you might see a little drone right here peeking through. And there's a couple trying to get their way out. I wouldn't worry about them. The strainer will catch them if they get stuck in the honey. And just avoid uncapping them. See if I can give you guys a better view here. Also might want to take my dry towel out. That's just this is hard to do facing the camera. There we go. So it's easier when the bees have drawn your have comb that's been drawn out already. This is the first extraction of this frame, and the bees tend to build the comb out farther, so it's easier to uncap the second time or fourth time that you use a frame, because the uncappings are really close to the bar here, the bottom bar of the frame, which is making it a little difficult to uncap, but you get the idea. It's kind of easier to keep the knife at a slight angle and just let the serrated knife do its job. You don't really want to apply too much pressure because you'll just end up destroying the comb. Alright, I'll pause the camera, get this done, and show you, bring you back when it's extracting. Alright, so I have 4 frames in. I'll show you them in a second. This are the cappings of 4 frames. I'm going to put the top on. So I've put the 4 frames in, and as you can see, it's been extracting here. It's a little bit unbalanced, which I can typically put shims underneath the legs and balance it out. The wobble is also caused by different weight frames being on opposite sides of each other. So when you're loading the extractor, it's important to try and accommodate for that by putting like-sized or like-weighted frames opposite each other. As you can see, it's there's some honey against the wall, and yeah, that's the wooden honey extractor in use. See honey falling down here. Delicious. One other thing to note is that it's not coming in contact directly with any of the wood. All of it is coated in, I don't know if you can see here, but it's actually coated in beeswax. The entire inside of the box, the basket, and any part of the inside of the extractor is covered in beeswax, just to separate it from coming in contact with the wood. Yeah, so that's the treadmill motor hooked up. The ball bearing definitely seemed to help keep that shaft straight. Previously, when I attached the pulley, it would torque the shaft a little so it would bend. I could also put ball bearings in here just to make it run a little bit smoother. Thanks for watching. That's my motorized wooden honey extractor. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.